Today I have something special because I have this, the winter WonderScapes. You know, in winter you always see landscapes, but you never see seascapes, so I designed my own and I have a special reason why I did this. You may have heard of hashtag Team Seas. Me and many other YouTubers have done videos about it. YouTubers have band together to clean the ocean of 30 million pounds of trash. And as I am a YouTuber and I love the ocean and going to the beach, I wanted to do my part. I've done another video for the same cause, making this flat fold shadow box card. And I will link to that in the description box below. You can see me there with crazy hair also. And this time I created something ocean themed, but in a winter setting for a new tutorial. And what I will be doing is give the ad revenue of this video to teamseas.org. And also if you purchase the new winter WonderScapes pack before January 1st, I will be donating the proceeds of that as well. And you can help too just by watching this video, including the boring commercials, and get a few ideas to make sea-themed winter cards. Now share them on social media with your friends, your family, your vet, and that way we can all help to get the word out. Have some fun in the meantime making pretty projects, because clean oceans and beaches benefit us all. So let's get to it. I'm going to create these two winter cards using my all new winter WonderScapes pack. I start by picking two designs for my cards. I'm going to use the big circle as well as the big rectangle from the other card. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the pieces out roughly. I do that for the circle as well as for the rectangle card. And the circle I leave as is for now because I'm going to start with my rectangle card. This one I'm going to wiggle cut, so don't get fussy about it. I just want a little edge around that white border. Or that white deckled edge, like a bit of that old postcard style. So I'm just wiggling with my paper. Don't wiggle with your scissors, just cut with your scissors slowly while you are wiggling the paper. And this makes a fussy cutting or wiggle cutting way easier. So I cut a complete card and I have a nice little bit darker edge around it. Next I'm going to cut a few of those matching words. And to do that I add the sheet in my cutter. And then I'm going to line it up with a clear plastic finger help. I line up the top of the words with the edge of the finger help. And that will give me the right position to cut through the middle of the rows with words. So I cut two strips with 3 rows of words. And then first I'm laying them out on my card. I have a card that's slightly smaller than 6 by 6, so that's a little less than 15 centimeters. And then I have one strip for the top and one strip for the bottom. And I cut another strip in the same way and I trimmed that down at the beginning. And now let's build a pretty background. So next thing I did, I cut a few strips in a color that matched the color scheme of the paper. And you can use the matching color palettes that also come in the Winter WonderScapes pack. And then I'm going to add one of the word strips to one of those purple strips. And I do one for the top and one for the bottom. And this way it looks like it's on a mat. Next thing I'm going to fill up that space on the sides, because the card, if I add it at an angle, the card isn't big enough to cover the complete sides as well. So I'm going to add a strip of card to both sides. I cut it to size so it's not too big sticking out. I've added some tape to the back and I add it in place on the sides of the card. Next I'm going to add my word strips on top of those strips. So I line them up, I have some tape on the back as well. And then I remove the tape backing like I always like to do. Lining it up first, check if it's spaced the same on both sides, the top and the bottom of the card. And then I add that strip at the bottom as well. And I'm going to cut off those parts that are sticking out. Next thing I'm going to do, I have that third strip. And I have some tape to the back of that strip. And then I'm going to cut that strip into 6 smaller pieces. And I'm going to line up those pieces to the side over that purple strip. I start with the one in the middle and then I divide the other ones, one above the middle one and one below. And this way I try to divide the space a little bit evenly. You can measure it out if you want to as well, but well, I was just eyeballing it. And this way it looks like you have complete rows of words, which is not. It's total fake here, but you do save a bit of paper here and it's less weight on the card as well, so it's a win-win. The next thing I wanted to do, I wanted to soften the brightness of the words, if that's a good word. So I'm going to add a piece of vellum on top, and now I mark my card. So where I'm going to add it, to see where I can add my tape. Because I'm going to tape my vellum to my card. And as I'm going to add my card on top, this will be completely invisible because the tape will be under my card. So I'm just marking it to see where I can add my tape. And then I add the tape in place. And then I add the vellum in place. I hold it at the left side, checking if it's straight over that purple card as well. And then I line it up and I press it down. I'm going to use a sentiment from the words and quotes sheet, and I'm going to use one of the tags. I also fussy cut the tag with a little bit of white around the color. This makes that the shape is more visible and pops a bit more from the page. Now I have all my pieces together. First I'm going to add my winter WonderScape to the card. I've taped to the back and I folded back those backing pieces. I add it in place and then I remove those backing pieces. And next I'm going to finish my card with that sentiment. A piece of foam tape to the back of the tag to get it erased a bit. And then I have the rest of the words, I cut them apart and then I'm going to glue them in place. I think this makes a really pretty winter card. And for this card I have a circle die that fits inside the colored piece of the winter WonderScape. And I use that die to cut a circle out of the center of a second slightly smaller card. Next I have a sheet of laminating foil and I add that card under the foil and I have some distressed mica flakes. And I'm going to use that circle as a guide where I want to add my flakes. And they are quite static, so you can add them to the laminating sheet, but they also will bounce away a little bit. And once you have them in place, you can spread them around a little bit more with your fingers. And I'm using the card to the back to see where I want all those pieces. So I have a little bit more control and I'm not going to cover the complete background piece. I'm going to do another circle in the same way next to this one. Then I'm going to close the laminating sheet and I'm going to run that through my laminator. And this is the result and it looks really cool. You get a bit of an icy effect. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut my piece to size. And I want it a little bit smaller than my frame, obviously. So I'm going to cut it a little bit smaller so it will fit to the back of that frame. So I make sure to measure and see if it's going to fit like this. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to color the edges of the circle frame. And for that I'm using an ink blending tool and Distress Oxide ink in a matching color. And Shaded Lilac seems to be a pretty good color to match with this color scheme. So I'm going to color the inside and the outside of the circle. And I'm using quite a bit of ink, so I get nice colored edges. And next I'm going to add the circle with the frosty laminating foil to my card. Now make sure to check that your horizon is going to go straight on your card. So it's a better idea to add them separately. First that circle and then your laminating film. Don't ask me why I thought of that. The next thing I have my circle frame with a piece of foam to the back. So I get a bit of a raised panel, which is always cool. I'm adding some glue to the back of that foam and then I'm going to add it in place. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some of those mica flakes on top of that laminating sheet. So I've added some glossy accents along the edge and then I'm sprinkling on my mica flakes. This way it makes that the design is coming out of the frame a little bit, making it more dimensional and a bit of an extension of the pattern that's going on in the background. And I really like that effect, so I'm adding a bit more of the glossy accents and a bit more of the flakes along the edge of that circle. And I leave some spots open because that's also a fun effect. So I'm going to sprinkle on some more of those mica flakes and shake them off again. And then I'm going to let this dry. And next, of course, we need a sentiment. So I have two of those tags that I fussy cut as well. And I've got a sentiment. And I'm going to spread my sentiments over the two tags, gluing them in place. And to the arrow tag or pointed tag, or what shall we call it, I've added a piece of foam tape to the tip, so it's at the same level as my frame is. And I'm going to add that on top and letting it hang over the edge a bit. And then I'm going to add my rounded strip tag at the bottom of my frame. And this makes a really frosty, sparkly winter card. Have lots of fun using the techniques I showed with these cards or just recreate them. Don't forget to check out the tutorial where I show you how you can make this flat fold shadow box card. It's a lot of fun and super easy. And if you are interested, check out the Winter WonderScapes pack. And as always, make sure to keep on crafting.